Hey guys, this video is going to go over the worksheet. Why is it good to have holes in your t-shirts? I don't think it personally is good to have holes in your t-shirts, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to go over exercise 2 in this one, so I will do HETRUE. 3 is also going to be assigned in class today, and that's going to be on your own. So I'm going to model and show you how to work through the whole step for 2. And I want you to try 3 independently to kind of see how you're doing. Something important to have is your notes from class. It's going to have PEMDAS on it, order of operations, some examples. It's also going to have the integer rules for adding, subtracting, multiplication, and division. It will also have absolute value at the bottom. Your absolute value problem is actually on the back, so make sure that you don't forget about that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So H, remember I'm on exercise 2. So I'm going to have a negative 15 minus a negative 4 plus a negative 1. So using PEMDAS, I don't, these are showing me that I have negatives, so I just see addition and subtraction in this problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work from left to right. So I have a negative 15, I'm going to leave that alone, and I have a minus a negative, so I'm going to change that to plus. And that's going to give me a negative 11. So I have negative 15 plus 4, I have that all finished, and I'm just going to bring down this plus a negative 1. See if I can get my zoom here right. So pause, rewind if you didn't quite see how I did that. It's just kind of a rule of thumb that we use for changing the minus a negative to a plus. It's just easier sometimes for our brains to understand that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to finish the problem. So I have a negative 11 plus a negative 1, which is going to give me a negative 12. Because if I was on the number line, so let me draw that out here. So let's say here's my negative 12, here's 11, and so on. If I'm adding a negative 1 to 11, that means I have to go to the left one to get my answer of negative 12. Okay? Next one, let's try E. Let me fold this over for you. So I have in parentheses negative 2, negative 5, and negative 17. So I really don't see any addition, multiplication signs, anything like that. So what I can assume, since I don't see that, is whenever we see parentheses just right beside each other, it's always going to mean multiplication. So you're going to need this in the upcoming chapters, so remember this forever. But if parentheses are just there, then it means we're just doing multiplication. So again, I just get to go from left to right because I'm just solving and multiplying across. So I'm going to use my rules here. So if you're not sure, have these handy. So I'm going to be multiplying. So I know that a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive number. So I have a negative times a negative, and that's going to give me a positive 10. And I'm going to bring down this negative 17 that I have left still to multiply. So I've already done this math. I just brought this down, and I'm ready to solve my final step. So I'm going to take 10 times a negative 17 to give me a negative 170. The reason it's a negative is because 17 is negative, and when I have a negative times a positive, it's going to be a negative number. Okay? Let's keep going with T. So T shows me that I have brackets. So it's going to be 6 plus negative 11 n bracket times 8. Please don't let these brackets scare you. All the brackets are just fancy parentheses. So that just means we're going to start there, okay? So it's showing us that we have 6 plus a negative 11. So let's go ahead and figure that out. So that would be a negative 5. Reason being, negative 11 is a bigger number. And when we're adding, we're going to do, if we have a big negative plus a positive, it's going to come out negative. So that's how I got that negative 5. And we're just going to, so we already did this math. I'm going to bring down this times 8. And we're going to do negative 5 times 8, which is going to give me negative 40. So I was just using that rule. We just had a negative times a positive, and we're going to get a negative. All right, let's head on to R. So R is going to tell me I have negative 9 minus parentheses negative 23 plus 3. So using PEMDAS, I definitely know that I need to start with my parentheses here. So I'm going to solve what's in the middle of my parentheses first. So I have negative 23 plus 3. That's easy mental math. I'm just moving 3 up on the number line. So I'm going to get a negative 20. Did this math, I'm going to carry everything else down. So I have a negative 20 minus a negative 9. So I just brought down the rest of the problem there. Now when I have a minus a negative, I can turn that into a plus. And that's going to give me a positive 11. Because my bigger number is a positive plus a negative number, it's always going to become positive. Just a few more. I have U and E left. Let me grab a new piece of paper here. So U is going to tell me I have 7 times a negative 3 times a negative 4. So we've kind of experienced these problems before. If we don't have any operations it's telling us to do, we're going to assume that it's multiplication. So I'm just going to work my way across here. And I'm going to get, I'm going to actually just do this because it's, well, I'm going to work from left to right. So I'm going to get a negative 21 here times a negative 4. And I know that if I do a negative times a negative, I'm going to get a positive. Okay, so a 21 times 4 would give me 4 and 84. Okay, so I know that this is going to give me a positive 84. I'm using the integer rule. So a negative times a negative equals a positive. So that's how I got my positive 84 for U. And last but not least, let's work on E. So E is going to say a negative 3 with parentheses 8 minus 30. And so I'm going to start my parentheses. I'm going to take a smaller number from a bigger number. So I know that my answer is going to be a negative. And when I take that number, I'm going to get a negative 22. And then I'm just going to take down this negative 3. So I did this math, brought down my negative 3. I now have negative 3 minus 22. And I know that's going to give me oh, sorry, I messed myself up. So this is a negative 22, that's why I put parentheses around it. That's really important because sometimes, just like I did, you can mess it up with a minus sign. So we are still multiplying here. This just goes with the negative 22. So I apologize for that, but I'm glad I kind of showed you that. So we're going to take negative 3 times 22. So I should be able to get 66 here. And we know that it's going to be a positive number because when we take a negative times a negative, it always is a positive. So I hope this was helpful for you. I just did all of section 2 with you. So if you didn't quite get it or you still have questions, please come to me and ask. Okay, that was a really quick tutorial. I just really would like you to try 3 if you feel like you're ready, if you feel like you can do it. Remember, there is one extra answer left over, so don't freak out if you do have an extra one of these options. They do that on purpose. So let me know if you have questions, and happy solving.